Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I have a lot of things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I have so much stuff that I feel like we shouldn't be even recording this, that I don't know where to start and what to share and what not to share and how much to talk about. But what I intended for this session to be, I intended for it to be an introduction to my plan next year. Inshallah, next year you might have me once or twice at the maximum twice a month for the adults program. I'll be with the youth inshallah for 2 Fridays. It's good to see you, Abdullah. But that once a month, the session that we will have once a month inshallah will be a very important one, and it will be inshallah something that we will prepare and that will have some kind of, will engage the audience, and it will have some activities and exercises inshallah. But basically what I'm going to be, a model I'm going to be following is taken out of a book, a bestseller, a book that I became familiar with 5 years ago. And just seeing a few of the pages, if you go over the table of content of the book, it will help you, it will actually raise some questions, and it will, at least with me, it made me ask certain questions. And I think these kind of questions are very important to be asked. Right there, inshallah. I think she already got it. Maybe you can give it to Azizan, inshallah. I think asking those questions is very important, and what is more important is figuring out an answer for them, or at least having an answer to those questions. So I suggest that you check it out. Some of you may be familiar with this book. You might have it in your library. Some of you maybe took it as part of their job training. It's a very famous book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by a famous author by the name of Stephen R. Covey. Now, it is one of those books that talk about changing habits, leadership, adopting better qualities, becoming more effective, becoming more productive. And then he wrote another book called 7 Habits, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Right? Now, one thing you notice is that some of those principles that they talk about are things that we find in, for example, I remember attending one of those seminars or workshops, and as the instructor was talking, I started smiling, and I was in front of her. So she said, Muhammad, what's the smile for? So I said, it's interesting that you're saying all these principles and you're saying these things, and every time you say something, a hadith pops up in my mind. She's like, what's a hadith? So I said, a hadith is a statement attributed to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So either there's a hadith or there's a verse from the Quran. She said, oh, that's interesting. Could you share one with us? So so I mentioned something that the Prophet from the prophetic statements, some of the statements made by our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. For example, they have amazing, very expensive program, right, on weight loss, right? Weight loss is now it's diet and weight loss. It's a big industry in America, and people usually gain whatever weight they gain intentionally. You know that. Some people they're shocked. Oh my God, I just gained weight. You get every pound that you gain it intentionally. Right? I know that about myself. At least I know that about myself. Every single pound that I gain, and I have actually, you may not notice it. Alhamdulillah, it's hidden. But every single pound that I've gained, I gained intentionally over the past. I gained maybe about 15 pounds over the past 4 months. And the reason I say intentionally is because every time, usually when I eat, it's never an accident. I know that I'm eating and I know where the food is going. So alhamdulillah, I do not sleepwalk and eat during my sleep without knowing that. So every time I eat, every bite that I take, I'm aware of it. Right. Yet, there's a big industry right now, right, in America, weight loss and getting in shape and all of that. And one of those techniques that they teach, or some of those techniques that they teach, you'll find the hadith already speaking about that. Do not eat until you feel hunger. نحن قوم لا نأكل حتى نجوع. The Prophet ﷺ said that. We are people that do not eat until, because sometimes people, eat just for the sake of eating. Maybe because there's free food, or they're in Sam's Club, they're walking around, free samples, they eat. And sometimes because there's nothing better to do, they open the refrigerator. They forget why they open the refrigerator, but they see something. They remember something. Oh, it has been there for a while. Nobody ate it. Okay, I guess I'll have to eat it. And then moderation and all of that. So you find prophetic statements talking about all of this. Likewise, when it comes to leadership and character building, the Prophet ﷺ taught us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us in the Quran. And sometimes we have the wrong attitude as Muslims. We take these things for granted. Oh, we already have it in the Quran and the Sunnah. Okay, implement it. Study it. That's where we fail. We continue to say, oh, we have all of this in our history. We have all of this in our traditions. We have all of this in our books, in our scriptures. Okay, put it into action. So we fail, and some of us might even know some of those things. Some of those things might be very basic and obvious principles and values. The problem is that we do not have that connection. The connection is lost. And hopefully, inshallah, that's one of those things that we will accomplish in 2008, inshallah, to become more effective communities and families and individuals. And, I don't want to say for the sake of feeling better about ourselves, no, for the sake of becoming better. Because as a Muslim, we have to improve. We have to look forward. We have to long for improvement and for change. Every day has to be better than the day before. Otherwise, you're cheating yourself, as the hadith stated, right? So your today has to be better than your tomorrow, and you have to plan and be determined for your tomorrow. Your today has to be better than your yesterday, and you have to be determined and you have to plan for your tomorrow to be better than today. If every day is the same, then that's problematic. Now, in order for that to happen, brothers and sisters, we need a little shaking. We need to get out of our comfort zone. Right? And that's quite challenging, especially for Muslims. Especially for Muslims living in America. Sometimes it takes a catastrophe to make us say, oh, because unfortunately we have become reactionaries. We are reactionary people. Although we're supposed to, and our deen teaches us to be proactive. So we are reactive instead of being proactive. And we'll talk about the difference between the two in a second, inshallah. So what do I mean by just getting out of our comfort zone? I'll just give random examples. An example is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Many of us have this kind of mentality, right? Especially those of us who are 35 and older, and I'm getting there. I think I'm already there. No, I have maybe a couple of years. Right? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. If it's working, and by the way, men tend to have this kind of mentality more than women. Alhamdulillah, the car is fine. Don't mess with it if it's not. And so we have a problem when it comes to change, right? All of the examples that I'm going to give you is going to lead us to something called comfort zone. Like, for example, the corner where Brother Neen is sitting right now. That's like his comfort zone. Just comfort zone, where you feel comfortable. You don't want to change. We have this tendency as human beings. We are anti this kind of change because we're afraid. We are scared. We don't want to leave our comfort zone. We're happy. I'll give you an example, actually. Could everyone do this? Can you cross your fingers? Cross your fingers. You have any difficulty doing this? Some people have even the habit of doing this, right? Now, can you shift it? Like, just go like this? How comfortable is it? Can you just shift it? Like, shift? And instead of doing this, just do this. How many people are comfortable doing that? You switch between the two, no problem? This, no?
We have teenagers who switch all the time.
Okay. So, anyone had difficulty doing that or felt uncomfortable? Huh? You felt uncomfortable? You're used to doing this, then all of a sudden I ask you just to do it. But it depends. If you're left-handed, most people who are left-handed will do this. And people who are right-handed will do this. Right? So if I tell you to switch, right, something has changed. You're not comfortable with it. And there is something called, I'll give you another example. Cross your arms like this, like the brothers were saying. Now, can you switch like the other way around? No, some people, by the way, some people, yeah. Can you switch? Some people did this and they thought that they switched. You didn't switch. You just went around like that and you went back. I'm saying instead of doing this, I want you to do, you can't even do it. So you know what I'm talking about? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Just leaving your comfort zone. Changing things, right, that you're used to. Or sometimes being forced to see things from a different angle. It's kind of weird. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes some people might find it interesting. Some people might find this, what all of this? I don't like this. Some people might say, this is very interesting. I'll go home and challenge myself. I'll continue to do this all night long until I get it right. So change or improvement sometimes might require, from you to leave your comfort zone and to see things from a different angle. To get, as they say, out of the box. See things, get out of the box. It might require sometimes. Does anyone have pennies? Okay, never mind. I was going to do some of that. We'll do it some other time, inshallah. It might require of you to see things differently, right? But it's good. Imagine if the prophets. Actually, one thing that you notice, the great prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ibrahim, Musa, Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, there is a step before they even became prophets where they left their comfort zone. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he could have just sat at home and, he isolated himself from the society, but he wasn't like us. He didn't stay in a comfort zone. So he didn't isolate himself from the Meccans. Actually, he didn't isolate himself totally, but he abandoned and he stayed away from their wrong practices, from their idolatry, from their shirk and all of that. But the Prophet ﷺ was proactive. And the Prophet ﷺ didn't have a problem leaving his comfort zone. The proof for that is that the Prophet used to go and worship and meditate in the cave of Hira. He's not obligated. He did not receive a message telling him that he has to do that. He did it on his own. He was searching for that guidance. So he came out of his comfort zone and he went to the cave of Hira. And he did that for years. And that's what prepared him. And then finally, when the time came, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him the message. It's still, because we're human beings, when the message came to him, the Prophet ran away. It was shocking, it was scary, because it's a big shift. It's a big shift. It requires some kind of transformation. Same thing happened with Prophet Musa alayhi salam when he when he saw his cane or his stick, basically his rod, turned into a snake. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, he got scared and he ran away. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Aqbil wa la takhaf, come back and don't be scared. Innahu la yakhafu ladayya al-mursalun." You don't have to worry about anything. So he had to be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually brought some comfort to his prophets. But initially they left their comfort zone. Imagine if the Sahaba were the type of people that didn't want to leave their comfort zone, that didn't want to question their ways of doing things. Many of them would have not become Muslim. In fact, some of them who took some time in converting or changing and becoming Muslim, it was the fact that they wouldn't let go of their traditions and their way of seeing things, right? It's the fact that they have blinded themselves with the wrong propaganda about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The minute they left their comfort zones and they opened their minds and their hearts to Islam, it caught them. And this is it. Islam is so powerful and it's so overwhelming because it's al-haq, it's the truth. And the minute the person exposes himself and allows Islam and Iman and all these values and principles that the Prophet ﷺ brought full access to his or her heart and mind, it will appeal to them. If they're sincere, they will follow. They don't need much. And there are various examples. Umar radiallahu anhu, the way he became Muslim. Read about how Umar radiallahu anhu accepted Islam. When it was that Umar radiallahu anhu became Muslim, he took a piece of scroll that had verses from Surah Taha, and he opened it. Taha ma anzalna alayka al-Qur'ana litashqa. That's it. He didn't sit for years or days or months researching and debating. And Umar was a very intellectual, very, you know how Umar is, right? Umar, when he has conviction, it's very hard to get him to give up his convictions. But it was compelling, it was powerful. He read it and that's it. Same thing with the rest of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-Tufayl ibn Amr al-Dawsi radiyallahu anhu. The people of Mecca, they told him, listen, don't listen to Muhammad. Don't listen to Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. His spells could get you. He's a magician, it's very powerful. So he was so scared that he had to cover his ears with bread, with dough. Some said that he covered his ears with cotton, because he didn't want to hear the Prophet ﷺ's recitation of the Quran while he was making tawaf. So in the middle of his tawaf, he said, wait a minute, Al-Tufayl, look how foolish and how silly you look. You are Al-Tufayl ibn Amr, the chief of your tribe, Daws, and you are a wise man. You are not, this middle-aged young man cannot manipulate you. You're a smart, intelligent person. How silly does this look? Take it off. In fact, after he took it off, because he felt that he should have not done that, he went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, "Oh Muhammad, what is this that your people say about you?" And he started talking to him. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Are you done with what you have?" He said, "Yes." So the Prophet, peace be upon him, recited some verses of the Quran. He told him, "This is what my message is all about." He became Muslim instantly, radiallahu anhu, and he was responsible for the entire tribe of Daws accepting Islam. Transformation, the minute he left his comfort zone. So sometimes people don't see what it is that they're missing when they hold on to their comfort zone. They don't know, right? If you were to, let's say, tell a family about our Friday night program, and I suggest that you do this, inshallah, 2008, inshallah, you're required to bring someone with you, right? You tell them, come here, come with us. Oh, it's too cool. I mean, imagine on a night like this. You have called someone, let's say last week, and you told them that we'll have an exciting program, come, and tonight you call them just to check whether they're coming or not, and they use the excuse that it's too cold. I feel like, making hot chocolate and staying at home and drinking hot chocolate and watching 2020. Right? Is it time for 2020? Right? They will come up with any excuse. Right? I don't know. Whatever people watch, American Idol, whatever. People come up with all kinds of things. They will give you all kinds. Oh, there was so much traffic today that I'm tired and I have restless leg syndrome. People just come up with all kinds of random excuses, right? They will just come up. Why? Because they don't want to leave their comfort zone. They don't know. Now you tell them, just come once and get a taste of it, and then you will see. You would want to come there. So this is what holding on, or this is what sometimes comfort zone does to people. So you have to be, if you want to be successful, you have to have this adventurous approach or nature when it comes, you have to be able to really challenge yourself and say, no, I'm going to try different things. I'm going to listen. I'm going to put myself in the other person's shoes. I will, start, seeing things from a different angle. I can't be always right. You will start challenging yourself, and you will start getting out of your comfort zone, and you will not be scared to try different things. I mean, yesterday, was it yesterday or this morning? I was actually, I think it was yesterday. I was, the story of people who, $580 million. Oh, I think it was last night. It was special. $580 million. The guy had to give up his job. He was an IT. He had to give up his job, steady income, secure job with full benefits. He gave up that to go and try an idea. Sometimes you tell people these kind of stories, they're like, oh, he must have been crazy. It was luck. No, he was determined. And sometimes people try more than one thing. But he left his comfort zone, and guess what? $580 million. He and another guy who was unemployed, they worked on a project, a little project, that is now known as MySpace, and they made $850 million in a matter of a year or 4 years. Same thing with all those big companies, right? So this is what people get. Sometimes I use the same example when it comes to couples who have issues, problems, or families who have problems, children with their parents. Many families, they do not realize what they're missing, because there's either one of the parties or all of the parties involved are not willing to try different things. They're not willing to leave their comfort zone. They're not willing to compromise. They're not willing to put themselves in the other person's shoes. They're not willing to see things from the other person's angle. They don't want to, because they're in their comfort zone. I must be right. Everything else is, and everyone else is wrong. So this is very, very important, that you have to be willing to leave your comfort zone, challenge yourself, and try different things. Now, another point that I talked to the children about was that this is not going to be, and sometimes we have tendency to do the same thing, even in Islamic lectures or workshops, or we have tendency to talk about adab. Adab, this is the way you walk into the masjid. You walk with them right, which is good. To know those things is good. But you know what? There are certain things that one needs before you even... how many people know adab, the etiquette of a conversation? How many of us know the etiquette of eating and drinking? I mean, seriously, how many people know that you have to say Bismillah before you eat? You have to eat with your right hand. How many times have you caught yourself violating those adab that you know? And sometimes you might even demand it from your kids. Right? How many of us know the etiquette of the prophetic teaching? Is it that we're not interested, that we don't want, or that we're not connected? We're not connected to them. They don't yet mean a lot to us. As I said before, people do things out of passion or out of desperation. They're either desperate, or out of either discipline or passion. They have discipline as a routine. But when it comes to ibadah, it cannot be a routine. Right? It won't benefit you. I mean, we go through the motions of salah, sometimes it doesn't affect us, because there has to be that connection. So it has to be out of passion. So this is all about developing this passion. So I talked to them about how in the old days, well, not in the old days, how there were two types of theories. One theory is called personality ethic, the other one is called character ethic. Character ethic is what Islam and religion actually preaches and talks about. Right? And then there has come this personality ethic. Personality ethics means that success is the function of personality. So you are successful based on you're successful in a relationship. Your success in a relationship depends on your personality. Your success at work depends on your personality. So what is the difference between personality and character? Could someone tell me what do you think is the difference between personality and character?
Character is the thing you act on.
Okay.
Personality is
what you are.
and what you're trying.
Maybe not what you are, but what you're trying. Maybe what you're trying.
What you're trying
Yes. Character is who you are. Personality is what you're trying to do. Personality usually relies on attitudes, behavior, skills, techniques, especially techniques. You want to do something, then follow these techniques. They teach you techniques, right? And that has proven its failure, even with businesses. Businesses who adopt certain, like businesses who treated ethics, work ethics, as techniques. You follow certain techniques, or you follow procedure. You follow what the manual tells you, without necessarily believing or buying into it. Sooner or later, you're going to violate it. Right? How many times have you walked into a hospital? I was trying to give an example of a case. Well, I myself had to deal with something like that in my family. How many times have you walked into a hospital where, let's say, nurses and people who are working, they have a body or they have a patient, right? With due respect to all people in the medical profession, they have a patient or that they are dragging, and they're saying all kinds of things. Sometimes they might be even backbiting or talking about that patient because that patient is sedated. They might be, I was at a hospital, without naming the hospital. I was at a hospital visiting someone. And speaking of visiting people, St. Judith Hospital. This way? Okay. There is a brother by the name of Saeed. Forgot his last name. Algerian brother. Room 577. Please go and pay him a visit. Make dua for him. He has a severe case of cancer that is spread in his abdominal areas and over his liver. So make dua for him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's only in his mid-30s. So make dua for him. But I was at a hospital, without giving the name, visiting someone. And then I see this group of nurses are carrying someone, walking that person. And I don't want to say what they were saying, but I was very offended. So I missed them. They went into an elevator, but there was someone else following them. So I stopped that lady, that nurse, and I said, can you please go and tell these people that they have a human being with them. Let them show some respect. It's not just a body. It's a human being. So show some respect, some sensitivity. I mean, it's just another body. So the way they were conducting themselves, the things that they were talking about while the other person was in pain, they were sedated, and sometimes they may be saying things about that individual, I found to be very offensive. Very offensive. And that's the difference. But if the chief doctor or whoever is in charge or an inspector is there, things are different. Things are different. Right? So that's the difference between people adopting techniques and having certain type of personality and having character, right? Personality usually focuses on public image, how people perceive you. That's your personality, how people perceive you, not how you really are. Whether people think that you're funny and nice and kind and outgoing. These are issues of personality. Character is who you really are. Right? So I was talking to them, and this is what we're going to be focusing on, about this. That this is what we are trying to do. And this is what we meant by a new level of thinking. The title of this session was New Level of Thinking. Looking at ourselves, looking at our lives, looking at our organizations, looking at our communities, looking at our families, inside out. Right? We're not trying to go and put on something. We don't want to put on something. We want to bring out something. So whatever we're bringing out, if it's good, alhamdulillah, it will show. Whatever we're bringing out, if it's bad, then we're going to get rid of it. We're going to see that it's bad, we're going to get rid of it, and then we're going to take something else in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا بَنِي آدَمَ قَدْ أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ لِبَاسًا يُوَارِي سَوْآتِكُمْ وَرِيشًا. O sons of Adam, or children of Adam, we have given you, we have bestowed upon you, we have brought down for you libasan, garments that cover your awrah, your deficiencies and it covers up. This is what garment does. It beautifies you and everything, but it also covers up a lot of things. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we have given you this. وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ الْخَيْرِ. However, the garment, the dress of taqwa, that is better. Because taqwa comes from inside. And that's why, people might put on something. If there is no taqwa to react with what they put on, with this process of dressing up, they may not meet the Islamic guidelines. They may be dressed but undressed at the same time. Because it's not, and that's what we mean by it has to come from inside. We're not minimizing. For example, hijab is very important. Many things are very important that people put on. But it has to come from within. Because if it comes from within, then it will meet the guidelines, the Islamic guidelines. It will be more suitable, and it will look good. And it will have the proper attitude, and it will have the proper behavior with it. Sometimes we might see people dressed physically, but they are undressed behaviorally, right? The way they carry themselves. And that's why Allah said, وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ الْخَيْرِ. That is the best. Right? It is not what you put on. You might see someone, mashallah, nice dress, looking like a sheikh, but that person has nothing to do with the way they're dressed. Okay. So this is what we're trying to do, inshallah, and this is what we are going to focus on. Looking at ourselves, at our communities, at our families, inside out. We're going to also focus on something called greatness. Everybody is great. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with greatness and with honor. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have honored the children of Adam. وَحَمَلْنَاهُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. It's all about bringing out that greatness, that honor that we have, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. But we have to realize that there's primary greatness and that there is secondary greatness. Unfortunately, we tend to focus on the secondary greatness. The primary greatness is the goodness of character. Even if people don't realize it and people don't see it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees it. And today I don't want to say shocked, but I was amazed that I was listening to an instructor talking about character and he said even if you're a religious person, and of course he used his own language, it may not be appropriate to attribute something like that to God, but he said worship or connect with God like He's in front of you or you see Him. And then I remembered the concept of ihsan. When the Prophet said, al-ihsan, an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarah. It is to worship Allah as if you see Him. فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. And if you don't see Him, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sees you. Right? So this is the primary greatness. Focusing on the goodness of character. Even if people don't see it or don't notice it. You're doing it because that's who you are. Because you're worthy of that person. You need to allow that great person that is hidden inside of you, or that was somewhat buried with all these stresses of life. And you need to let that come out without any attention. Now, the secondary greatness is the social recognition of your talent, and that you can achieve through people giving you opportunities to come and serve and help. And inshallah, one of those outcomes of this will be getting more involved. One thing I learned over the past 3 years, if we think that we are better off hiding our heads in the sand, right? As the brother was saying, if we think that we're better off not confronting anything and staying home and not doing anything, keeping low profile as communities and as individuals, and just getting by in life, and maybe even changing our names or hiding our identities, just stay away, and that's going to make us safe, it won't happen. And it's not. If there's one lesson that we should have learned from, for example, one of those, you have the issue of the mapping of the Muslim community. Imagine if the Muslim community took a very passive and very there's no other word that I can describe it with other than passive. Imagine if we just took a very passive stand and position on this, and we let it happen. What's going to happen? If this project succeeded, we're going to be further isolated. Our kids are going to be further isolated. We're going to start living in pockets. We're going to be cornered, right? And every time we're cornered, we go back to a hole and we try to hide, right? Now they're saying that we want to know where you're hiding. We've got nothing. We don't have a reason to hide. We have nothing to be afraid of. We have nothing to be ashamed of. If you hide, people would want to know why you're hiding and where you're hiding. And that was the whole idea of that project. You need to come out. And you need to be who you are. And this is what we came to this country for. The opportunity that is presented. And nobody has a right to rob us or deny us that opportunity. Nobody. We came here legally. We came here, we did not rob anyone's land. We did not kill or massacre or commit any atrocities we didn't commit any of those things. We came in a very honorable fashion. And at the end of the day, إِنَّ الْأَرْضَ لِلَّهِ يُورِثُهَا مَن يَشَاءُ. The land belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So nobody has a right to tell us, oh, you don't belong here. Or that we're going to corner you, or that nobody has that right to do. So we need to understand our rights. And we can only know this if we are involved, and if we engage, and if we are proactive, and if we come out of our comfort zones. And I will conclude with this, another reason why we need to take this kind of approach and we need to be a little more involved is the fact that, I tell some of the young brothers who are not married, or some of the people who are newlywed, I tell them, you know what? You need to be involved for your own good. I'm no longer going to beg. We did this 2006, 2007. We begged people, college students and everybody, to come get involved. Please come and try. And we give them, alhamdulillah, we have open door policy here in the masjid. We receive people with open arms. I said, we're no longer going to do this. The opportunity is there. You want to come seize it, it's yours. But I tell them now, I tell young couples that sooner or later you're going to be involved. I was teaching a class in Canada when a friend of mine, childhood friend, walked into the class. He has a 3-year-old. We grew up together. We did this. So he walks into the class. I was giving that class. Most of the people, of the average age of the people who attended the class, were high school, college, high school. Although we had people who are like 60, 70 years old, people different. But the average level was. So he walked in after the class. He came and said something to me. He said, "You know what? I forgot about this group of people, this age group." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, when I saw you teaching there, I said to myself, and this is someone who, when we left, he was not any less than me. In fact, it was someone that I would look up to. But he got engaged in his, he's working for corporate America. Alhamdulillah, he's very successful in that sense. But he said, I forgot. If we do not teach this generation or this age group, who's going to teach them? We are the link between the older generation and the younger generation. And if we are busy making living and we're busy pursuing the American dream and pursuing our own, who is going to attend to those people and teach them? That's when I looked at him and I looked at his son and I said, there's something else that I forgot. These are the link between you and your son. In a few years, your son is not going to be listening to you. He's not going to be, in a few years, he's not going to be looking up to you. You're going to be, there will be a gap between you and him. He might connect with you again later, when he grows older. Like now, I feel like I'm more connected with my dad than I was, when I was younger, or when he was around. But there's a time where he's going to be looking up to those people who are older than him, the cool guys. And these are the ones. So if we do not do something for them, they're not going to be ready to do anything for our kids. So he said, yeah, you're right. So I said, yeah, we have an obligation, but also we are going to reap the fruit. One is, of course, in the hereafter, inshallah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But later also when it comes to our own. So what I found, I told him, what I found is that many people like him, people in my own family, a lot of people that I know, they get involved. Sometimes it's never late. I don't want to say when it's too late, but they get involved. At one point, they find themselves forced to be involved. Why? Because now they have children who need to come and learn the language, the culture, the deen, the values, the principles. So now they become involved. So isn't it better for someone to be involved from the beginning and be part of the decision making, be part of building the policies, be part of the making of our institutions, be part of it. So later, when your kids are or when your family is in need, our institutions are ready to accommodate the needs of your own family and your descendants. So if we're serious about passing on this legacy that we have to the next generation, we have to be involved. We have no option, we have no choice. I mean, it's just the pressure is beyond any one single family's capacity or ability to resist or deal with. We have to come together as a community. We have to. So inshallah, we are going to build this kind of network, and 2008 inshallah we'll also have, on Friday nights we're going to have ideas and activities and programs for the parents to bond and for the parents to exchange ideas and to get to know each other, because whether you realize it or not, your kids interact with each other, right? And they're getting to know each other and they influence one another, and they're going to know each other and they're going to get closer to each other. So it is better for the families to come together and know each other and know who are the people who are influencing their kids and help one another. So inshallah we're going to keep records. One thing that the youth committee wanted me to announce in this session was that inshallah we have youth registration forms in 2008, and we want those filled out. If your child brought you any of those, please fill it out. We want the parents to be involved in this, and inshallah we're not the Friday night program, the youth program is not like the weekend school. It has different objectives, and we have simple objectives. Inshallah, we'll make those objectives very clear. Last week, I think there was a presentation, Brother Kareem and many people. I heard that many people liked it, and we actually want to nominate someone to be the parents' link with the youth committee. The youth committee will run, inshallah, by the youth and the college students who are involved. They're advisors. I myself will try to pull myself, except when it comes to providing the guidance and being involved in at that level. But when it comes to day-to-day activities and programs, and they need to be able to do that on their own. So we'll try to minimize the adult involvement. We want to give them some kind of sense of independence. So therefore, I actually asked various people to nominate, someone that they think would be a good liaison or link between the parents and the youth committee who are involved in the youth, and that person could basically rally. So inshallah, if you have any suggestion that you want to send me, please send it in a written form, email it to me, or send it in a written form with your child, hand it to me before I leave. I'm leaving Sunday. Actually, not before I leave, sorry. You have 24 hours to do that. So if you have anyone who you think is, I got the feedback from the youth, and I'm pretty much, I have a couple of people in mind to take this position and be involved. And inshallah we'll announce them to you, we'll announce the name of those individuals in the next 2 weeks. Alright, please do not forget to make dua for me. Inshallah I will see you in 3 weeks when I come back from Hajj. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other, and may you have a blessed Eid. Do not forget to actually make this Eid, try to make this Eid a very special one and celebrate. By the way, Eid al-Adha is 4 days. It's 4 days. So let's show in takbirat, do not stop for 4 days. We ask Allah to forgive our sins and make us of those who take advantage of those special seasons. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.